Hello, hi there. I'm Kat. Thank you for joining me for a chat with Kat. We're going on a journey and having conversations with people from a variety of backgrounds and experiences. And during this journey, we're going to probably laugh and smile. We'll have moments of compassion and cry. We may be angry or feel confronted, and we may be amazed and just need to ponder. So, whatever the emotion is that comes up, let's take a moment to breathe and ask ourselves why we're feeling this. And also, let's ask, what can I learn from this? So go ahead and like, share, subscribe, and make sure that your friends and family and colleagues and anyone you feel could get something from this gets to see this. So let's get on with our journey with Chat with Kat. Hi, sorry, today we had some tech issues with the video. We do have the complete chat on the audio and partial video, so please enjoy. Thank you for joining me here tonight. I know we're going to try to keep it down because the boys are sleeping, but we do know each other through the Self-Perfected group, and I know a lot of people are watching this, listening to this. They probably don't know who you are, so tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, thank you, Catherine. I'm excited to be here. I know you've been interviewing quite a few people from the group, and so it's an honor to be here and be one of the people that you wanted to bring on your show. And yes, who am I? I am Jessica Snyder. I currently reside in Elko, Minnesota, which is right outside the major city here in Minnesota. And man, what an interesting question. I feel like I'm in a time in my life that my answer to that question is dramatically different than I've ever answered it before. It's like, I am a world changer. I am a shaker and a mover. I am I am unsettled with the state of the world, and that defines my entire life. Like, actually, I see clearly that the way things have been going is only going to create a future that I don't want to be a part of. And so I know I have to take massive responsibility. So I would say, who am I? I'm a mother of two. I have two young boys. One is three, Aristotle, and one is one, Xander. I am a wife to my husband, Mitchell Snyder. I am a property owner to a beautiful 10-acre prototype property that we're creating a paradise on. I am a organizer of lots of local events that we do here in the Minneapolis area, as well as I host many global events, and we have Catherine's a part of our online women's group that I absolutely adore. Started that, I think we started that 4 years ago now. Yeah. So I'm involved in a lot of things that I see are in alignment with the kind of impact I want to make, which is super fulfilling. So that is who I am. I'm Jessica here in Minnesota, just stirring things up. I'm stirring the pot.
Yeah, you are. I mean, anyone who knows you knows that you're not going to sit there quietly and just let people do all these bad things. You're going to take some action. Um, so you've been part of Self Perfected, I think, from like day one, right? Mitchell and Drake started it,
Yes,
the
yes,
the
I have.
Friday groups.
Yeah.
Okay, and then so what really got you involved with all of this?
Right. So I met Mitchell in October of 2019 at a meetup for like entrepreneurs. And the first thing that I noted about Mitchell was that he had a high vocabulary, actually. And I really admired that. Like anyone who is well spoken, I was like, I always took note of that. And the first time I met him, we actually didn't really converse that much. But a month later, we both attended the same meetup again. And then I actually got to chat with him. And, he was telling me a little bit about what he was doing. And I was so intrigued that I was just like, can I give you my number? Can you send me all the things? Whatever you see would be best for me to first listen to. Because at the time in my life, like I was looking for community. I was looking for solutions. I was looking for answers. And I saw that this person was someone that knew what he was talking about, had a high vocabulary, and seemed like someone that I should be listening to, which is why I was at that meetup in the first place.
Mm.
And so he he gave me his number, and the first thing he sent me was, "Your wish is your command," and I devoured that entire
Mm.
audio series. And if anyone knows, okay, that's like a 14-hour audio series, so it's not a short listen. And I listened to that in a matter of like 48 hours, for like 2 days, and
Oh my gosh, you beat me.
and I just I sent a text to Mitchell, and I was just like, "Hey, so you're going to Los Cabos, right?" Because that was where the next gin event was going to be at. Because I'm over here, listened to the whole thing, signed up for gin, got a ticket to the next event, and Mitchell's like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm going to be there too." And so, really, that's where everything started for me, was just kind of getting more exposure to law of attraction and self development in general. Like I'd done a little bit of that previously, but now I found other people in person who was also doing it, and not just like me listening to my own podcasts and reading books, and not like being with community doing it. And so I saw that was a dramatic difference,
Mhm.
because when you're just doing it for yourself with yourself, it's really easy to get in your head and fall into that pattern of interchange, but not really have a lot of outer change. And that just goes to show like
Mhm.
that interchange doesn't really mean anything if your life isn't actually changing. And so I would say that really drew me into this community, and was the start of, but really my love story with this community. Let's be honest, okay? I fell in love with this community very early on, and I am just continuing to do so. And it's such a cool thing where you, like, falling in love with something is something I've been coining. So,
Mhm.
like, falling in love with where you live, falling in love with your land, you know, it's like this love story of getting intimate with the land and the community. And, anyways, I would say
Mhm.
that's where everything kind of started. And I, yeah, I'm local. I was local to where Mitchell lived, obviously, at the time. And so when he did his first Zoom chat as self perfected, he sent over the recording to me, and I listened to it like 4 times, and I was like, "You got to do this again." So then they just kept doing it every Friday since, and I've been on every Friday call since. So, yeah.
Awesome. And you were saying something about like you were looking for community and you were looking for something like this. What triggered you to start looking for community? Like what was going on in your life?
Yeah. You know, I, in my life, I knew from a very early age that there was things happening that I was like, that's not great. Like I early on my senior year in high school, I went to Haiti on a missions trip to plant a bunch of trees and to build a house and do this stuff. And like, I always had this like heart for service, I would say, from a very young age. And
Mm-hmm.
a phrase that my mother always said to me was like giving to the least of these. And so it was very like
Mm-hmm.
ingrained in me from a young age and kind of something I took on for myself of, you know, recognizing where a need was and wanting to fulfill it as best as I could. And I went to college and I just got a 2-year degree because you're supposed to go to college and I didn't really know what I was going to do with my life. And I just remember I was in college and I was looking up how much movies made, like how much money was brought in
Mm-hmm.
through movies. How much did they cost to be made? How much money was put in to make it and how much did they profit off it? Like all of it, right? And I was like, we could literally feed the world for years based on some of these movies. If you look at Avatar,
Mm-hmm.
the amount of money put in and made from Avatar, we could have literally fed the world for years. And I'm like researching all of this in college and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what is happening? And but what was I gonna do with that information? You know what I mean? And so then after college, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a plan. I didn't really have a specific degree to go into a certain career path. So I just moved back home with my parents. And I my parents live in Southwest Minnesota, which is has its own beauty. The corn and soybean fields of the Midwest, right? But it was very isolated. There's not a lot of people that live out there, and I grew up there, so I wasn't being exposed to a lot of new things. Now, that's where I was really,
Mm-hmm.
in college, I kind of started my entrepreneur journey. I joined, I think, from the timeline of 2018 to 2021 or 2020. Okay, no, 2016 to so 4-year period, 2016 to 2020. I had
Mm-hmm.
joined like 5 different MLM companies. Just like because I grew up with a mom who had done like Mel Luca and Amway. And so like I had been exposed to
Mm-hmm.
that. My dad had owned his own businesses before. Both my parents had done the whole sales thing growing up a little bit. So I had some exposure to that. So I started doing that in college a little bit, kind of started to do my own thing after college. I started my own little YouTube and I started reading like uh Think and Grow Rich and books like that. And then I was listening to a podcast like Andy Frisella and stuff like that. And so I was just like starting this journey of self-development and I I even opened my own cleaning company and I scaled that to the point where I needed to contract out some of my work. And then circumstances in my life happened where I had to close up shop and I moved to Minneapolis, St. Paul, where I really needed to be anyways because there was so much more going on there. There were infinitely more potential for me instead of the corn and soybean fields of Southwest Minnesota. But that's just for me, right? Like, I've got a brother who's farming out there and he's
Mm-hmm.
doing some cool stuff, taking over the family farm, doing some more regenerative practices. Awesome. But it wasn't for me. Like, I wasn't going to take over the family farm. That wasn't my destiny. So I moved to the cities and
Right.
I was like, where are my people? Like, I I was I felt so isolated. I knew that there had to be other people out there who saw clearly that there were issues in the world. Things weren't adding up. Like, why are we spending this much money on entertainment when it would
Mm-hmm.
take that much money to feed the world? Like, why are we prioritizing entertainment over basic needs? Like, things weren't adding up. And I was like, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. And so that's
Right.
really what drove me to look for community, was knowing I wasn't crazy. Knowing there were other people out there who were like, I know that the life that I'm living isn't enough. I know I need to do more. And I know that
Mm-hmm.
we need to start changing the way we're all operating in order to shift our focus as a global collective. And so, based on that,
Mm-hmm.
that's really what drove me to find community, because being isolated, I was going to drive myself crazy. Like, I really would not have been in a good place, because if you're seeing, even
Mm-hmm.
to a certain degree, that the world is not a good place, but you're not in community that's actually fundamentally changing that, then it's just eating
Mm-hmm.
away at you. And if you're not actually, if you don't have anything like in your life that's going to solving those issues either, then it's like a hollow awareness within you of all the abuse
Mm-hmm.
happening. And there's no outlet, there's no focus, there's no momentum, because it's just sitting inside you, eating at you. And so, yeah, I knew I needed it. I knew I needed it. And when I found it, it was like I had never experienced community like that before, you know, where there's
Mm-hmm.
just like, this is the cheesiest, this is the cheesiest thing, okay? But it genuinely, it feels like home. Like what home is always meant
Mm-hmm.
to be, where it's like a safe space, but not in the way that that's been coined in society nowadays, but like genuinely a safe space for you to thrive, where if you're not holding
Right.
yourself to the standards that you say, then people will reach out. They'll support you, and we'll all collectively hold each other to a higher standard. And it's like that's what we want for the world. We like the world needs to be held to a higher
Mm-hmm.
standard, because the standard we're being held at right now is a standard of abuse. It's accepting and allowing selfishness, you know? And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when I found this community, I was ripe. I was ready for it. And so, as soon as I found it and I could see clearly that there was real solutions here, I literally within 2 months committed my entire life to like, yo, we gotta tell more people about this. Literally 2 months in, I had seen so many massive results. I was like, this is it. This is it. And I am now, it's what, September of 2025. So I'm almost 6 years
October
in.
now.
It's October. Is this officially 6 years? This might be officially 6 years for me since
It's
meeting
October.
Mitch.
Wow. Amazing. There you go. And I mean, I hear about what's going on, like the events that you hold and the community you're growing, and just how great it is. Like people are like, "Oh, I'm so glad I live near you guys," because they come out and they learn these things, and they're learning, like as a community, about good ways to parent and good ways to educate, and not what maybe we're taught before. And now we're going, maybe this wasn't quite the right way. Maybe there was better ways. So I hear people talk about it, and they love it. So I mean, obviously you're doing what you said you were going to do, right? So
Yes.
that's awesome. Um, but I get what you say about actually feeling like a home. Like people don't understand that. One of the reasons I left Canada was because it didn't feel like home. It
Mm-hmm.
hadn't felt like home for me for a long time. And
Mm-hmm.
then, the way everything just went, they crossed my line and I had enough, and that was it. I was out, and I like going to Mexico. I had a good friend down here, and I'm like, here, I'm coming down, right? But it really is like it feels more like home. Like it feels like a place where you belong and are accepted, and there's love and support, and I don't know, it's just people can't seem to understand why I wouldn't want to be in Canada. So,
Yeah,
you know.
I see plainly
So,
that we've defined, home or community or inclusiveness or safe space, you know, i- in a way that doesn't actually fundamentally support each person. Because there's a lot of like, there's just a lot of people who would rather be comforted in their in the areas of their life that maybe aren't going well or that they could improve in or that they're they're just participating in something within themselves, right? A lot of people define a safe space as
mm,
other people accepting and allowing what you're participating in and just comforting you while you participate in it, right? But that's why I
mm,
see is different about this community is, you know, yes, people will still comfort you, but they're not going to just be a bystander to your self-defeat. Like everyone genuinely
mm-hmm,
wants to see each other win. And yes, that involves comfort, but that also involves like pointing out things that maybe people aren't aware of or saying the hard things sometimes. And within that, like that's why we collectively have seen growth within our community over the last 5 years. Because you can get into certain communities and sometimes you can just see these repetitive patterns coming over and over again, and not a lot of people actually shifting and changing in their life. And the reality is, the only way we can actually change the world is if we change ourselves, like fundamentally.
mm,
And so that's also what I see is, you know, what makes it so at home for me is actually the fact that things change. Maybe the day and time that we do our global Zoom calls doesn't change, but everybody's lives are improving and the world is improving because of what we're doing. Thus, things are changing, right? If things were staying the same,
mm-hmm,
I probably wouldn't find a community where things stay the same as comforting or as at home for me because I was unsettled with the state of things. Thus, I needed change and continually need to have that.
mm-hmm,
And so I guess that's what I would say about this community being home to me is because it fundamentally supports change in people's lives, just based on, the principles that the group is run off of, and promotes is like
mm-hmm.
we gotta shake things up.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I think that's the biggest thing right now is people are so afraid of change. Like I can't tell you the number of people who want it to stay the same. Like my niece was one, and she was having a hard time because things were changing. And I was like, but that's life. Like, the thing is you may not love change because it's always different and unknown. But I said you have to learn how to adapt to change and go and be able to flow with it, right? But yeah, but it's a big issue I see, especially with some of the younger generation, like the early 20-year-olds, because I don't know, they've just maybe it's just the way that they've been so exposed to technology and like computers and screens and stuff that change is just such a radical thing for them now. I don't really know, but
Yeah, it's very interesting how technology has become a pacifier in a lot of people's lives, not even just the younger generation. I mean, obviously, we see the setbacks when a child is exposed to screen time from a very young age. And now you see, like you mentioned, there's 20-year-olds who have had a screen since they were very, 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 very young, if not since the very beginning of their lives. And so you can see that,
Mm-hmm.
there's like a obviousness to that. But anyone and everyone has a screen nowadays.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look, what percentage of homes have a television in the United States or in a first world country? Probably a crazy percentage, a crazy amount. What
Mm-hmm.
percentage of middle schoolers have a smartphone? Probably
Mm-hmm.
even higher percentage, like a scary percentage. And, you
Yeah.
know, it's funny because you would think with the shorter attention spans being produced through more screen time, you would think people would get sick of certain routines and be willing to change their routines more often. But the reality is their brain has been trained. Their brain has been trained to run and operate at a very specific speed and to be entertained by very specific things because you're not only training your algorithm is also training you. And so it's very
Mm-hmm.
comfortable. It's a very comfortable place to be when you're not using social media or screens as a tool, but the screens and social media are using you for your data. To, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's honestly a very interesting time to be alive. And I think there's like so many analogies you could give with the movie The Matrix, right? Where it's like
Mm-hmm.
reality is reality, but it's not at the same time. And I think we're kind of heading into this era with, a lot of the what is it called when there's a picture that's digital? I forget what it's called in this moment. And they have people can buy this digital artwork. There's a specific name for digital artwork. But as soon
Mm-hmm.
as that started rolling out, I forget what it's called. As soon as I started seeing like this, you can own digital space and it can
Right.
be like worth as just as much, if not more, than a physical piece of artwork, right? I realized like
Mm-hmm.
there's mm, like people are really seeing it as there's no difference between the metaverse or the matrix, whatever you want to call it, and
Mm-hmm.
physical reality. Like they're seeing it as
Right.
advertisement space. They're seeing it as places to own property. They're seeing it as places to own businesses and run and operate businesses. They're like it's places where you play games, where you have relationships, personal, intimate
Mm-hmm.
relationships. It's all of it is literally there except maintaining your physical livelihood essentially. And so because of that,
Mm-hmm.
it's like people have accepted and allowed losing touch with reality. And when they are in physical
Mm-hmm.
reality here, it's really just a, this this energy game. Where can I get the most energy? Because everybody's been so trained on this energy now, where it's like, all right, I'm just chasing this.
Mm-hmm.
And if based on someone's upbringing and their programs of what really satisfies that point for them, they're probably not going to be willing to change much. Unless people are being super honest about the state of the world,
Right.
super honest about where AI and automation are, super honest about, man, the children, like what's working and what's not
Mm-hmm.
with the kids. And,
Yeah.
unless you're being really honest, just really honest about the state of the world, then people are comfortable. People are really comfortable just in their own little circle. And so technology at this point hasn't
Mm-hmm.
really helped that. You know, the world's basic needs weren't met pre-technology and they haven't been met post-technology, even though you see all these
Mm-hmm.
big tech guys saying that, oh, technology is going to help solve all of these issues and all of this, but it's clearly not the
Right.
focus. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I've definitely seen some of that, but I really that's also why we host. I love that you brought up our events. That's why we host so many events here locally. And I mean, we also host our self-perfected global events, right? Every year. Next year, we're going on a
Mm-hmm.
cruise in the Bahamas. It's going to be amazing. I'm very
Yay!
excited. I'm going to enter Catherine's climate. It's a little different, but it's more your climate than it is here in Minnesota, okay? But yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just
I think we're still at about 90 some odd degrees right now. So,
at 7 p.m. Is the
yeah,
sun still
I
up?
think it's still about nine. No, no, the sun goes way fast down here. Like the sunsets, like they're there and then they're gone.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Wow,
but
interesting. It's only
yeah.
69 degrees here, which is actually relatively warm for evening at this time of year. Um, yes, in-person events now more than ever. Like with all of this technology and people literally just being addicted to scrolling all the time. Also with the distrust, we are in the post-trust era of people don't know what to believe online.
Hmm.
They don't know if this Instagram account is an AI bot. They don't know if it's an AI bot messaging them. They
Hmm.
don't know if this video they saw of this person getting killed is an AI. Like there's so much AI being going on. And then, there's the silly things where it's very obvious, the eagle with like
Yeah,
3 wings, and you're like, wait, eagles don't have 3 wings?
yeah.
Oh, that's AI. You know what I mean? But it's getting way
Right.
better. It's getting so much better. And it's that's what I'm saying. It's the post-trust era, which is why you have to be in person. Like
Hmm.
in person is luxury nowadays. Actually, it is such a luxury to be in person.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, yeah, we love the events we do here in Minnesota. I don't know who of Catherine's audience is near here, but if you are, you should look me and my husband up and everything we're out to, and you should come say hi. Just be like, hey, I saw you on Catherine's podcast. You told me to come, so I'm here.
I don't know you, but here I am. Well, and you're having some events coming up soon, I think, right? For the fall.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, we've got our fall festival coming up on October 11th. That one's going to be wonderful. We do seasonal festivals here on our property, and we've got a homeschooling community here locally, and that meets every other week. We do monthly clubhouses, we do weekly meetups, we do monthly sports nights, monthly game nights. So lots and lots of fun events going on. Like, okay, let's be honest, everybody. If we're so serious all the time about changing the world and how messed up the world is, then nobody's gonna want to be a part of that. Because they're gonna be like, man,
right.
everybody's trained on social media. They're like, where's my dopamine hit? This is no fun. Like,
Hmm.
What? And plus, isn't it so much better if you genuinely enjoy what you do and you're able to have a childlike presence and just enjoy it and have fun? That's infinitely better. Infinitely.
Hmm.
And so that's really like my my specialty that I'm realizing through hosting all these events for all these years is the fun. That's the special sauce. That's like life doesn't need to be so serious. Seriously, like life is simple. And if we can just learn to enjoy the process of changing into creating a better world and have
Yeah.
fun doing it, like we can let go of all the seriousness that comes with participating in the world system in the way it is. Like, just let go of all that,
Yeah.
okay? Let's just let go of all the old system. Let's let go of all that. And let's just be here.
Keep
And
what's
let's
good
just have
and let the rest
fun.
go, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, yeah, I would say that that is definitely one of the counters to just the age of technology and the unwillingness to change is if we have so much fun changing, then people are going to
Hmm.
start seeing how much fun we're having changing that they're going to want to change too. That's my theory.
Well, I mean, you certainly want to hang around the people who are having fun over those who are so serious and angry all the time. So, right? I mean, who wants that?
One thing that
Yeah.
I really do find supportive for me is when I go to the self-perfected events. You know, we always choose really nice destinations. So we went to San
Hmm.
Diego for the first one, and then we went to
Hmm.
Miami for the next one. And now we're going to be going to the Keys and Bahamas. And what I really like about our self-perfected events is it's expansive, you know? And it's not just leisure travel, right? Like we have intentional, in-depth, amazing discussion. You're surrounded by other people who are changing and changing the world, like world changers. And
Hmm.
I really enjoy one notable thing, food-wise, is eating tropical fruit in the tropics. Because I live in Minnesota. And Catherine, I know you know this, living in Canada for most of your life, okay? Having tropical fruit shipped to you to be eaten is never, never, ever as good as it is when you eat it in the tropics. You know, it's picked fresh, it's picked
Yeah.
ripe. It's so much better. And so
Hmm.
that's definitely something that I really appreciate about our events is that, you know, we pick really cool locations for all of us to get together and obviously, okay, Catherine, you know this. Our group is so cool that we could be in the most destitute of locations and it would still be amazing. But it's just a bonus that we have such good locations, you know, and it's so expansive also geographically and food wise. I mean,
Hmm.
we all like food, okay? I'm sure Drake probably talked about food at some point when he was on with you. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a really good time in it, and like the conversations you said, yeah, they're deep, they're intimate, they're really connected. It's amazing when we get together. I mean, we were talking till 4 in the morning, and then we go, oh, maybe we should get 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah. Who needs sleep when you're at a self-perfected event? No, we definitely
Yeah.
experience that here too, you know, hosting local events. We host our festivals in our clubhouses and man, we go in long form discussions, super in depth. And we have so many people. Guys, the power of events. If you want your life to change, go to an event. Go meet people in person, because
Mhm.
there is power in physical, in person community, people all there. Like there's a physical property within each human, and as you have a large group of them, it's tapped into, and I forget the exact term at this moment, but you don't get it at any other time. You only get it with the group effect. And the ability to
Mm.
make major decisions in your life and actually change is wide open when you're with a large group of people. So it's like, use that to your advantage. If you have stuff going on in your life that you're not satisfied with, if you have things that you know you need to change, that's why we are a safe group. We are all full of people who are willing to change and wanting to change. We're non-judgmental in that we have people from all backgrounds. I'm talking all backgrounds, having lived all sorts of lives and
Yeah.
having changed fundamentally. So you come to an event and nobody will judge you for what you're wanting to change. They will simply support the
Mhm.
change. They'll be like, great, let's do it. Oh, let me support you as much as I can. Like fundamentally. So yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, that's something that we're creating here, right? Like our property, we are just beginning to build
Mhm.
it out. Because my kids, you know, to be frank, speaking of kids, I'm literally holding one of my children's wooden toys at the moment. It was just sitting on my desk right in front of me, and I just picked it up. It's my totem. It's my totem now as we speak. Uh, so on our property, we are building out a educational retreat center. You know, for the first 3, 4 years we lived here, I
Mhm.
was pretty preoccupied, you know, being super pregnant, giving birth, taking care of a little infant, getting super pregnant, giving birth, taking care of a little infant with a toddler. And so my ability to pour into my
Mhm.
property was relatively limited. But now that my youngest is 1, you know, they're a lot more self-sufficient now, starting to, you know, my 1-year-old is like begging to be potty trained. He's taken out the little toilet whenever he needs to go now, and I'm like, I've done nothing for this, okay? He just watched his brother. So I'm like, I'm almost out of diapers, you know? Like, this is great. And yeah, so I just have more capacity to pour into our property. And it's so cool because through this period of having to raise my children, it gave me the space to create such a big vision. Like if you're at a time in your life where you don't have
Mm.
the capacity or money or whatever to bring in and shift and change certain things, that's a great time to paint vision, to get really clear on what the next steps look like,
Mhm.
to get really expansive. Go dream building. Go vision boarding. I mean, I'm this study that I'm in right now, we have this is just one of the many vision boards around our room. My goal is to have the entire room covered in all vision boards. But it's like if you aren't doing that, then you're going to be so limited to what your next steps look like because you don't even know. You don't even know what you want your next steps to be. And that's another thing that I really highly
Mhm.
value about this community is everybody has vision. And if you're not surrounding yourself with people who have vision, you're going to be limited to how expansive your vision is. The global elite have 100-year
Mhm.
visions. 100 years. Okay? And we're over here. Like most people don't even have a vision for their year. Let's be honest. Like a year, let
Mhm.
alone their lives. And the global elite are like, dude, my vision is beyond my life. My vision will be carried out by my children. you know?
Mhm.
And so I say that because through having all this space to create such a cool vision, we we're creating really, really, really cool property. And this is just our prototype property, right? Like we only have 10 acres here. It's a great small plot to have with our kids who are really young. And as they get a little older and they have more capacity to, take responsibility for the land and whatnot, and we're at a different place, my husband and I, as far as local community growth and whatnot, like we have to get a larger property. Like, well, we'll take this
Mhm.
prototype and everything we learn here, and let, let's let's see here. Uh, let's see. Would it be, yeah, let's 100x it. Let's not 10x the 10 acres.
Got
Let's
you.
100x it. Okay? Let's go get 1,000 acres
Nice.
and let's see what we do with that, right? And so that's definitely the long-term goal after we build this out a lot, is to, get a larger property and show what's possible. That's really one thing I'm super passionate about, is getting out of the cookie cutter properties. Okay? Going completely against the grain.
Mhm.
What is considered normal? What is considered, you know, the right thing to do when you own land? Because let's be honest,
Mhm.
hyper controlling your land out of an image of what society has given you of what your land should look like doesn't actually support life. It doesn't support you fundamentally, and it doesn't support the life around you
Mhm.
in nature. And just rewilding your property and letting it be wild is also not necessarily fundamentally supportive, because we live in a different era right now.
Mhm.
We live in an era where there's a lot of disturbances happening in nature where we need to accommodate. Also, the land has been disrupted for many years. And so it's going to take some manipulation to support it to thrive. And if we actually want to thrive living
Mhm.
alongside it, you can't just leave it be. Like, we're creating beautiful, beautiful ecoscapes, paradise-scapes that are going to not only support our livelihood, right? But we've only been living here for 4 years, and we already have many species coming back or arriving that haven't, since I moved in, hadn't been here.
Mhm.
We first moved in and we hardly had any butterflies. We had no
Mhm.
fireflies. We had no frogs. We had barely heard crickets. You know, I never really saw that many spiders, like here and there, maybe some daddy long legs. And throughout the
Mhm.
years, like this year especially, we have so much. Like woolly bear caterpillars are literally like taken over. You look on our driveway on any given moment, and there's at least 5 woolly bears just crawling on our driveway. And I had tons of orb weaving spiders in my garden this year. They were so majestic, like stunning, stunning spiders.
Mm.
And so I say this because it's like, how you truly cannot thrive unless the world around you is thriving. And if you can take responsibility for
Mhm.
the little space you have, if you have something to thrive, then you'll thrive on a level you've never experienced before. Like you'll go outside and you'll be inspired.
Mhm.
Life will be breathed into you. And it's great because like another vision I have for this property is to create this like hunter gatherer type of vibe where I can wake up and I could just go outside, I can collect my eggs, but then I can also collect a bunch of berries and collect whatever else from whatever else is growing, because there's going to be lots of it. And I could just bring it
Mhm.
in, and that's our breakfast. Or I collect enough for lunch and dinner as well. But the nutrient density of a hunter-gatherer lifestyle is incomparable. Incomparable. Because
Mhm.
simply an hour after something is picked, it loses an immense amount of its nutrient density, let alone if it's shipped across the
Mm-hmm.
world. And so I'm very excited
Right.
about that. We've got a pretty large food forest growing
Yeah.
already.
Well,
We've
and I'm
got,
so lucky down here that we have so many local farmers and organic farmers. It's just, I'm so lucky.
I love that. Do you have a farmer's market near like your house? Like, can you just walk
Oh,
out your
yeah.
front door and there's like people selling
So
produce?
we have some more organic farms and we have like the markets.
Mmm, nice.
Yeah, the farmers, there's markets and they come down like as certain days of the week there's certain markets and the farmers come down and it's all the same guys, you know them all by name and you know, and actually one of the farmers when it's high season because it's too hot in the summer. Like you can't you know sit out on or and have breakfast on the farm in the summer. It's just too hot and too many bugs. But when we call it high season is when it's actually cooler, but it's when all the tourists come. He'll host people for breakfast on his farm, and he charges something obviously to help pay for it, but it's like his wife, his son, and him make the food, and it's all the produce is from his farm, and any of the protein like the eggs or the meat is coming from his neighbor's farm,
Wow, that's
and
so
then you can walk
cool.
around his little farm and afterwards, and you know, and he does that during you know, I guess it was like 8 months of the year he does that, right? And it's like, you know, it's an invite reservation kind of thing because they need to know how many people are coming. But it's just such a cool thing that you like. I know my farmers,
Yes. Yes.
so
Yes, it's so important. It's so important to eat locally. Like, as much as we enjoy the novelty of eating exotic things from exotic places, we have to remember, like, eating locally is wealth. Eating locally is
mm-hmm.
literally the best thing you could possibly do for our economy as well as your health and well-being. And I love that you have that near you. So, Catherine, noted. I have to visit you during high season so we can go to that farm together so we can have breakfast with that lovely
Yeah.
family. That sounds
Well,
awesome.
well, maybe what we do is we also hold a self-perfected event down here, and we bring the whole group over to see it.
Yes. I love that. Yes, please. Okay, if we are at the same resort that we went to for the gin event in Los Cabos back in 2020, it's very nice. It's very nice. I'm totally down to do that. Oh, Catherine,
Well, we've
you
got new
literally just,
resorts since then, so
I love that you would just be able to just drive to the event and or walk to the event and you wouldn't even have to fly anywhere. Like everyone else would just be flying in from everywhere, like from Guam, from Germany, from Canada, all over the US, just like everybody coming in and you're just like, I'll just walk over to the event, thanks.
I'll just stay at the resort. Thank you. That's great.
Yeah. Oh. The connection
Get my
lag
vacay.
is very tasteful. It's like 3 seconds after I say something, it registers, and then it's probably the same for you. It's funny. That's that Mexico to
Well, you know,
US.
I mean, you know, just because I live in paradise doesn't mean our internet's always the best. So, you know, there's certain times of days where it's better than others, and yeah, times. Now, you talked a bit about your kids, Jess. So, I want to know how is it going to be different having your kids growing up in a community like this and learning the tools that you've got than from when you were a kid?
Good question. So, when I was a kid, I really struggled with like spelling, math, like just the basics in school. And my mom really tried. She genuinely like was doing everything she could to help me. And, you know, I just remember saying, that's just not the way I learn. I, I, I don't learn that way, you know? And I just remember it being a battle and it being very frustrating and very just overall stressful, you know, not feeling like I wasn't good enough at school, or you know, like my self-esteem was definitely very affected by not having the grades and everything that you you were supposed to have, right? And so that definitely was a big thing in my childhood that really affected me, was just school is very hard. It didn't come naturally for me to memorize and regurgitate information. It was something I had to really work at to get subpar grades. And I I just see plainly, like for my kids, they will never deal with that ever. And you know, it's not just because I'm not sending them to school. It's also because they're already so intelligent. You know, my 3-year-old is already reading. And mind you, he just turned 3 on September 25th, like last week. And he's already reading 2-letter and some 3-letter words. He already knows his upper and lowercase letters. He knows 0 through 10. And, you know, we're working on the rest through 100, the numbers. And he's really, really intelligent. And I'm just so clear that when you support a child to learn and not squander their desire to learn from a very young age, you're equipping them with infinite potential. Infinite. Like there's no limit. Whereas, you know, when I was growing up, there was definitely a limit to how much I could have possibly learned. You know, the limit of what school was teaching me, the limit of, you know, the support that I was given at school and at home. It's like I just didn't have the tools necessary to learn from a young age. And I mean, that's like the most dramatic difference, really, because if a family is equipped with the tools to support a child to learn from a very young age, then there's no stress there. Like for me as a mother, I'm not stressed that my kids are going to be behind. I'm not stressed that there's going to be a subject I'm not that great in, so I don't know how to approach it with my children. I don't know if I'm going to be able to teach them properly. Like that never crosses my mind. And is it because I'm well versed in those subjects? Not in the least. It's because of the tools we have in this community that I'm 100% confident that my kids will learn anything and everything. And that is something that, you know, not just compared to my childhood, but most people's lives. Not only their childhood, but their children's childhood are just not getting. People are not certain, have never been certain in their lives how to effectively raise an effective contributing member to society. Like how to raise a human being to be amazing, to be someone that will not put up with the current system the way it is. Somebody who has the capability and capacity to create dramatic, real change. Like it the average person is like, I just want to make sure that my child is happy. But that's it. because they don't even know how to support themselves to be stable, let alone a child. And so happiness is the measure because they don't have tools, they don't have the community, they don't know the difference. Nobody has been taught the difference. And so that's what I see what we're doing is
Right.
so different, and why my kids' lives are going to be so different from, my childhood and everything is they'll be set up to learn anything. My house is literally filled with thousands of books. Every single room in my house has books in it. Like books on books on books. And I know that my children will have read all of the books in my house and be begging for more at some point. And so there will be no limit, you know. There's no there's no stopping point. So I don't even honestly, I probably can't even fathom, how intelligent they'll really be. Because where else do you see people doing what we're doing fundamentally? Nowhere else. So, yeah,
Mhm.
I, during my childhood, I definitely had very low self-esteem because it was very difficult for me to learn things, and it definitely created tension and frustration in my relationship with my parents because, they were genuinely doing the best that they could. I was luckily raised with parents who took the time to try and support me. I know a lot of people are growing up in situations where their parents aren't even paying attention, you know,
Mhm.
where as long as the grades are somewhat there, they're not even helping, you know. And so I did have that, which I know was infinitely better than not. But my parents were limited to the tools they had at hand. And so I definitely see that I could not be giving my kids a better advantage in the world than what I'm giving them with these tools. So, yeah.
Wow. Amazing. And just how lucky they are. Like they don't know how lucky they are to have the environment that they have right now, growing up in it, because it's normal for them. This is
Right.
this is what they know. But they truly, truly are lucky to have the, the family, the support, the community, all the tools, um, all at hand there. So, because I'm sure
Yeah,
a lot of us would say, yeah, I wish these things were different.
right. Yeah, it's really amazing. Like I was we had our first homeschool event the other day, and Mitchell and I were speaking to the like addressing the group, and I was holding
Hmm.
Aristotle, and after I was getting close to being done with my share, Aristotle just starts chiming in, and he's addressing the whole group, and no fear whatsoever, projecting his voice, knowing the volume it needed to be at, matching my expression, and telling everyone about the badgers that we were going to see at this nature center, which, mind you, the only badger I had seen that day was on a screen of these photos of different animals that are in the park that I didn't even see till after he said badger. And so I didn't even know where he'd gotten badger before he said it. And then he's out there saying, "We're going to see badgers in the park. Badgers, everybody, badgers." And I'm like, "What badgers are you talking about?" Then later, I see it on the screen and I'm like, "Dude, he picked that up. He saw that." Honestly, in this moment, like if you picture a giraffe in your head, you can see a giraffe very clearly. But unless you've interacted a
Hmm.
lot with a badger, you probably don't have that automatic of an image of your mind of what a badger is. It's a little more obscure of an animal.
Hmm.
I don't even notably remember teaching Aristotle about badgers. Like, I don't know. I don't know. But he's just up here expressing himself fully in front of this whole crowd, talking about these badgers. And, someone might see that as, kind of insignificant. But that's just one small example of like, he is watching me literally at some points
Mm-hmm.
addressing hundreds of people. And he's learning from that. He's learning to be fearless, to be able to address lots of people and speak with certainty and to be clear about things in a world full of uncertainty, full of confused people. He has a mother and a father who are very certain and very clear about their purpose and their vision for their lives and the impact that they're going to create, very certain and very clear about how we're raising our children, like very certain and very clear about our relationship with each other and our kids and the
Mm-hmm.
relationship with everyone in the community, and taking massive responsibility to host all of these events and what that takes on the back end. Like, my kids are observing me doing all the preparation and the intention that it takes to host that kind of events, and the amount of, consistency that's necessary to grow these kind of events, where it's like you do it the same time, the same day, day in and day out, you're just doing it consistently. And so they're really learning a lot just with that. Just with the lifestyle that we live, that alone is creating a really cool environment for them to grow up in, as well as living on land and supporting the land to thrive and learning about the basics that make up this physical reality, like on a chemical physical level.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, they're being educated with these tools and with these
Mm-hmm.
principles. It's it's amazing. It's really, really cool. I'm Like I said, I probably can't even fathom how competent my own children will be. But I'm here for it, obviously. 100% here for it. And I'm excited. It's cool. It's cool because I'm not speaking from a point of arrogance, and I'm not speaking from a point of being full of myself or anything like that, because I'm genuinely coming from a point of being humble. I just told you about my upbringing. I just told you that I
Mm-hmm.
struggled to get subpar grades. Like, I I was not born into the elite. I'm making dramatic changes in my life in order for my life to look the way that it is. And the tools and this community have supported me and allowed me to do so. Because on my own, it was never going to happen. It wasn't. It really wasn't.
Mm.
So I'm not here to try and like say I'm better than you, or how we're raising our children is just the way every single person needs to exactly be raising their children. But I am here to say that the community we're in is really cool. And the tools, the basic tools we have in that community really work. That alone,
Mm-hmm.
everything else. Catherine lives in Mexico, okay? She's not gonna be able to have the exact same life that I have. Like, I'm
No.
guessing apples do not grow the same there that they do here.
It's interesting. I thought there would be vegetables that I wouldn't be getting down here, or it would be really expensive, and we have them. Like all the things that you think are more like a northern, hemisphere, like potatoes and carrots and onion, and like we got it all.
Wow.
So we do get
What about
apples,
like
but we import more of our apples, but we do have apples down here.
what about like wild rice or asparagus type, like the types of things that
Yeah.
you think of, you know.
Aspar- Asparagus, beets, radishes. Yeah, we get those. Yeah.
No way.
Spinach, kale. Hmm.
What
Like
an
I really didn't
interest.
have to give up on like any fresh food down here, except it more seasonal, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's funny because summer is a lot more of the fruits, like your mangoes and your bananas and your strawberries and things like that, right? And
Yeah.
then grapefruit and oranges, and then of course pineapple, papaya, like guava, all those
Oh,
things, all those cool things. But then you come into the fall, and we actually go through these seasons where you go to the farmer's market, and then you might go to the grocery store to try to get your filler stuff because it's not in season yet. So,
mm,
you go for a few weeks where you're like, oh, I go to the farmer's market, and there's like, I don't feel like there's as much there because we're in between seasons. So,
mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Man, you were just listing all the fruits that grow there, and you resold me on having the next self-perfected event there. I was just like, oh, my mouth started salivating, and I was like, oh my gosh. So,
Perfect.
I don't know. Okay,
Perfect.
the fact that we've had the last two self-perfected events and the next one is in warm places, I I
Hmm.
really want to go somewhere cool. Like in the middle of summer, let's go on an Alaskan cruise. Let's go to the mountains in Colorado. I don't know. Let's go somewhere cool as well. Like, I love the cold. I am, I, Catherine, you may
Well,
have
we
divorced
should do
the
one in the
cold.
summer, or not, or like I'm okay with like going to like skiing or something like that, as long as when I go inside it actually is warm. None of this like British Columbia weather where you're in a rainforest and it's still so damp that you go inside and you're like you can't warm up, even with like layers on. Forget that nonsense. I'm done with being damp and cold. But if it's a dry cold, okay, fine, good. Go by the fire and I'm good.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy where I live. Okay. Let me just sell everyone on visiting us, regardless of where you live. You could travel across the world to come visit us because it's such a gem. Like, to truly experience the four seasons in their fullest capacity is there's not very
Hmm.
many places that have that, where you can genuinely enjoy a summer day because it's super bright and sunny. It gets up to 90 every once in a while, maybe even 100 degrees. Not every summer. Every summer it for sure hits 90 degrees. But like you get the proper heat, like really warm, bright and sunny. Like warm enough to heat all of our lakes that you can go swimming in the lake comfortably. Now, mentioning lakes, we have the largest freshwater lake that is in our state. It adjoins our state. It's right along our state lines. You go up there and it is stunning. There's something about the magnetic field up there that's just wow. There's literally a waterfall that goes into this tunnel, cave, or whatever, and they've never
Hmm.
mapped where it goes. Not once. They've put natural dyes down there, they've put probes down there. They've never tracked where it goes. This mysterious, it's called Devil's Kettle. It's this crazy thing. And you get to fall, which is where we are right now. Oh, a beautiful fall. All the leaves are changing right now. They're getting to be vibrant, bright colors before they drop on the ground. There is this luscious breeze almost every day where it just cools you down if you're in the sun. And when you're in the sun mid afternoon, it's still in the 70s. And then you go in the shade and you're really cooled off. And it's just, oh. And in the morning, it's cold enough that you can put on a sweater and not be too hot. I love that. I love sweater weather, okay? When it's cool enough that you can be cozy without being hot. Love that. Love, love, love that. Then in the winter, okay, nothing is growing. Nothing is growing. You don't have to worry about your garden. You don't have to worry about harvesting, processing anything that's going outside of your house. So you're really having a season of either organizing inside your house, planning your garden for the next year. You know, really, it's like this introspection. It's like a true winter that you get to experience because your environment is forcing you to have it. Because I think about winter in Miami, Florida, and I'm like, there's almost no difference in the weather. And then you go into spring and it's like a rebirth and everything is starting to blossom and bloom again. And you just go through these beautiful cycles where you can tap into that within your your routine, your life. And it's really cool, really tapping into those seasons here. We have wonderful ecoscapes. There's some of the most diverse biomes here in Minnesota, which is kind of surprising to the average person. But we've got dense forests up north. We've got tons of different river valleys. We've got flat plains. We've got buff bluff countries. Like we've got a lot of diverse biomes going on. Plus Mitchell and I are here with an amazing local community. And we have tons of really cool events. And the Minneapolis St. Paul's city is a really well-known city. There's tons of world headquarters located here in Minnesota. There is, it's one of the most bike-friendly cities in all of the world. It's consistently rated one of the happiest cities. I mean, it's really, really a really cool place. And so I just spent this whole time selling you on Minnesota. So if you've ever had an inkling to move to Minnesota, the time is now. If you've ever had an inkling to visit Minnesota, time is especially now because the North Shore along Lake Superior is absolutely breathtaking right now. Just gorgeous. Just stunning
I
with all
love
the
how
leaves.
you are I love how you're so excited about all the seasons there. And yet, right now, we're coming to the end of the summer down here, and people are starting to think about the cold winters, and they don't want to be there and at home. And they're like, how can I book my trip to Cabo? Can I come and maybe I'll book a month. Maybe I'll come for 3 months. I want out of my snow and my cold, and I don't want to shovel the driveway. And
Oh, give me all the cold. It's so healing and rejuvenating on a deep level. Like people are always talking about like doing cold plunges and stuff, and I'm like, dude, I just go barefoot outside my front door and step in the snow. Like
yeah.
that's literally sufficient. And yeah. Yeah, I could sell you on my state
Yeah.
for the next like I really do like it here, but
But that's But that's why we have such different people around the world, right? It's because we all like different things, and different things make us happy, right? And so it's like,
we have
this is
such
why
a
we don't
diverse
all live in
community.
one place in the world. It's because too many people went, no, I want to go explore over here, and I want to try out here, and hey, this is
Yeah.
kind of okay. I'll stay here.
Well, and think about it. If we're gonna change the world, we need people all over the world. We can't just have everybody in one place. We gotta be all over the whole world. We need politicians on every corner in every
Mhm.
country. Like in order to change the world, you have to have you have to have a global community. That's the only way to do it. And it's grassroots.
Yeah.
It's grassroots. It's 1+1. Like people don't realize the power they have as an individual to create massive change,
Hmm.
especially when you plug into a community to do so, because together it multiplies the amount of impact that you can make. And we already have so much cool momentum and growth going on. And to be honest, we have the best tools and we have the best community. So if you've been listening to all of Catherine's podcasts and you haven't been sold on at least opening up our pages yet, let this be your sign that you need to at least just go and look at our self-perfected Facebook group, or listen to one of our self-perfected podcasts, or bare minimum go to the Jessica Effect on Instagram and just open my profile and just watch a couple of my reels or something. Like, bare minimum, just do something, because you're here. If you've literally been listening this whole time, it's 1 hour and 23 minutes in without edits, so it might be shorter when this is actually here, but we're almost an hour and a half in. And if you're still listening and you still haven't checked us out, yo, what are you doing? This is why your life hasn't changed. Okay. Go take the simple action. Okay.
Oh my. Yeah. And you know what's the greatest about doing this is I'm getting to talk to so many different people and different backgrounds and experiences. And I think that there's something that somebody can find in the group, like that they can connect to somebody's story, they can, or experience, or, you know, the differences that have happened in their life. And they can say, okay, there is somebody here I can talk to, right? Or there's somebody who might understand my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that because, you know, I think fundamentally there's there's a there's a level of like relativity necessary, you know, especially when someone's really early on in their journey of changing and, you know, developing themselves. If you can, you know, relate to somebody else on something, it makes it a lot easier. And like that's I love that we've been sharing about how diverse our community is, because there's so much power in that. You know, when you have a super diverse community full of people with tons of background experience from all over the world, then somebody new comes in and there's going to be somebody in the group who has walked a somewhat similar life, who maybe speaks the same language as you, or grew up in the same country as you, or whatever it is, where you don't feel like such an outsider. You feel fundamentally like somebody understands you on some level. Because I know for me, growing up almost my entire life, I never felt like people understood me. You know, I definitely fit that persona of like being misunderstood my whole life until I found this group, you know, and I genuinely feel understood. And not like a fit into a certain box understood, and not like a people have judged me into being who I am understood, but no, like a fundamental for who I am, and not for the programs society have has programmed us with from a young age, but like me as Jessica, as life here, like I am acknowledged and I am cared for and fundamentally supported. And you know, it comes through in every conversation we have as a community, where we're not just talking about surface level things. We're talking about like groundbreaking, matrix shattering, world changing topics of conversation on a regular basis. Like, that that is so rich. Like, that is the definition of rich. Having such a diverse community from all across the world coming together with principles of considering all life and genuinely giving as you want to receive. That's so rich. I could not think of something more rich. And for somebody to just be hearing about us, like, we have open arms. You can run to us. We are inviting you to join us. Like, I will embrace you. You come to the Self-Perfected event and I will give every single person a hug. You better watch out. I'm gonna squeeze you so tight when I see you, Catherine. You already know.
Oh, I can't wait. Get my hugs in.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I know it's getting a little late for you there, and I'm sure you want to spend a little bit of time with Mitch before you guys go to bed. But I do want to ask you, if you were to go back to yourself at 10 years old and give yourself some advice, what would you say?
I would say there are billions of people on the planet, all living their own lives. And you are one of them. But also, this small group of people you currently find yourself surrounded by will not define your future. If you choose to, if you choose it, like, you can choose to not allow where you are right now and who you're surrounded by to define your future. Or you can choose to let it define your future. You know, I would definitely like really make a point to expand my 10-year-old self's capacity of vision. Like, really starting to plant the seed of, hey, these people you find yourself surrounded by here at school and in your little local community is such a small sample size of what's out there. Like, you get to define your future, and none of what these people are saying to you right now is really relevant. You're so young and you're so malleable and you're so impressionable. So don't allow what all these other kids are saying to you, or what these teachers are saying to you per se, or these other adults in your life really make you doubt yourself. Because once you become an adult, the world is literally your oyster. Nothing any of these people have said matters at that point. And I know when you're young, it can seem like the world to you when somebody says something nice. Or it can be earth shattering when somebody says something mean. But fundamentally, it's actually irrelevant. You're going to grow up and you're going to realize there's so much more out there. And you just got to know that your people are out there and you will find them. And when you do, fully commit to them and to your life with them and building with them. Because once you find your people, you will know. And you will give as you want to receive. And if you truly want to have that unconditional that unconditional experience within a community of unconditional love, like genuinely real unconditional love, then you have to be willing to give it. Because for so long, you know, I definitely gave more of myself than I ever received. And so it made me not want to give, because I felt like very uh, battered and used as a child. And so I definitely would limit my expression with people, and I would limit and overthink my relationships. And yet at times I would still be exploited and overgive of myself. So I definitely would have wanted my 10-year-old self to know that when you find the right community, it's safe to give of yourself, to truly give
Mm.
100%, that it's safe to do so when you find the right community. And in the meantime, just work on yourself and realize that this small little world you find yourself in right now is not what is actually out there in its entirety. Like, this is just such a small sample that is going to be irrelevant by the time you're 27. Like, there's so much more out there. So yeah, that's what I would have told my 10-year-old self, specifically me. So not just all 10-year-olds. That's literally what I would have told myself specifically.
That's amazing. And I actually think a lot of us can take that to heart too, if we were to give ourselves advice, as you know. Because certainly I know I lived most of my life trying to please others and fit into their box, even though I knew it wasn't right for me. And then I'd be fighting and kicking it at the same time. So, and
Right.
then you just aren't happy and you feel like an outsider all the time. So, certainly really great information. And I think for anybody still, having those struggles, to take that to heart. Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much, Jess. I really appreciate you doing this and taking the time late at night, when your family's, asleep or getting ready for bed.
Yeah.
And I know we could go on forever because we do. Like, at 4 a.m. we're still around the campfire talking. Um,
Yes.
is there a last thought that you want to share right now with anybody?
Right. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Catherine. This has been so much fun. Uh, Anytime that we get to be on Zoom calls together or in person together is a joyous event. So thank you. Seriously, thank you for hosting these. Thank you for giving a platform and a voice to so many cool people in our community. And yes, that we're just getting started. We're literally just getting started. If anyone's just meeting Catherine and seeing her, she's just getting started. Her life literally just begun, and she is blossoming. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, I would just say I already said all the things. So if you didn't listen to the things I said before, I'm not going to repeat myself. Just go back and re-listen. And yeah, join us, reach out, connect. I am in love with our community and in love with what we're doing, and I'll be doing it for the rest of my life, relentlessly, in the most tender, lovingly way I possibly can. And so, yeah, thank you again, Catherine, for giving the platform and space for me to share.